Think it's going?
It's going to take the live feed takes a while to load. All right.
Now we're good?
Yeah.
Okay. We are live. All right, just keep playing with your balls.
This is good. I got 5 completely different layouts. This is good.
Did I mention we're live?
Oh, we're live? I didn't know we were live. Watch out for my stuff behind you there. Storm Nation, Pit Nation, Everybody Nation, Coronavirus Nation. First, I just want to start off by saying thank you for everybody that is tuning in, especially today. I know that Storm goes live now, and they're doing like a daily or multiple times a week live feeds from Storm headquarters. So we got a little competition on the block. I think it's great. I think it gives all of us something to watch and look forward to, and Storm does a great job. So if you haven't tuned into those, please tune into those. Share this video. Josh, were we doing something today? If we get to 15,000 views in today's video.
If we get to 15,000 views within a week, we will give away a ball.
Okay, so 15,000 views in 1 week. We're going to give away any ball that we have in stock to a lucky winner.
Storm or Rotoviz.
So Josh will handle that. We'll put in all of the names in a hat, and then we'll draw it next
You must
week
like and
if we
share.
get to 15. You must like and share
To be entered.
to be entered. So like, share. If that leads us to getting 15,000, then we're giving away a ball. So hopefully you can join in with that. On another note, this has been a pretty rough last 10 days with us being shut down, as well as basically our whole area and our whole country being shut down. I know it hasn't been the easiest for a lot of people. It's pretty tough. You know, you don't realize how much you need that revenue coming in until the faucet gets turned off and it stops. So we went from still in one of our busiest months, March is still a very busy month, to 0. We're trying to make the best of it. We're getting things in order here at the bowling center. The volleyball courts and all of that stuff that's outside, that is progressing ahead of schedule. So that's a good thing. We are doing some other maintenance stuff and some cleaning here at the lanes that we're going to do this summer. So that's ahead of schedule. So we're trying to make the best of it, and hopefully this will be a lot shorter rather than a lot longer, and we'll get back to business as usual. Josh is continuing to do ball raffles. We started doing a raffle. Did you do that one yesterday for the Bowl U?
No, I was busy with the
Okay, we threw it out there. Josh came up with a good idea, doing a raffle for Bowl U credit. You can use that credit towards the summer workshop, the summer Bowl U camp that we're going to do, or if you're out of town, you want to join in, you can earn that credit towards something that Rick is doing somewhere around the country. So you can like and share all that kind of stuff too.
one-on-one or something.
Yeah, one-on-one lessons, whatever you want to do, that money will be good for working with Rick and or myself at any of the stuff that we do. So we thought that'd be a good idea during this shutdown time to try to create some revenue. Even though it doesn't come close to what we're doing and what we normally do at the lanes during this time of year, every little bit helps, and we just try to keep moving forward. So, okay, so that's something else. As far as the Bowl U Summer Workshop, the Elements class that will be here, again, I don't know what's going to be happening. Originally, I thought it was going to be the middle of June to the end of July, and with the shutdown, I'm assuming we'll be back up and open for business by then, but I don't know what's going to be happening with the senior tour. I haven't wanted to bother reaching out to the PBA to find out what the plans are, because I think everybody's in the same boat. It's more of a wait and see type of situation. So we'll just hope for the best, and maybe there will be a few more weeks in there to where we can get together and have the Bowl U workshop. All right, today's feature is based on one of the questions from last week. Somebody had asked, I think it was Dave Day, right? Dave Day had asked, how does this UFO compare to the Crux Prime, as well as the Gravity Evolve? And so what I did was, come on over here, Tim. I actually have the Axiom. It's drilled at about 5 inches again, might be 5 1/4. The UFO from last week, this is probably about 4 1/2. This Gravity Evolved, this is 2 inches. This Crux Prime, this is probably about 4 inches for me. 4 inches, but very low. And then Crux Prime, this is almost 6 inches for me. Okay, so we got 5 different layouts. Most of the testing that we've done here has been pretty much all the same layout, as far as, you know, the normal 5 inches with the pin right above my bridge. Well, this is some of the other stuff that I have in the car and I brought in. I do use both of these primes quite a bit. I did throw some shots today to get loose because I haven't bowled literally in that week and a half. I threw some shots last week, but I wanted to make sure that my wrist was going to be okay with the time off and actually feel pretty healthy. Now, what we're bowling on is, it's what's left over from a week and a half ago, Monday, the league. So it's the same thing that we bowled on last Wednesday. But then after the live video, if you remember, Jason Sterner and Heather Dorico, they were here last week and they bowled on this pair for a couple more hours. So there's quite a bit of play on this pair. I thought it would be pretty interesting to showcase today on a pattern that I wouldn't normally be able to recreate. There's quite a bit of hook in the front. I think many of you that bowl in 4 or 5 person leagues, you end up running into something very similar to this. A lot of hook in the front and some oil down lane. So I think I want to talk about how you can attack those patterns, and if you have that ability within your physical ranges to be able to attack the pattern with a higher speed and lower rev rate type of thing. Okay? So I don't know, I guess what we could do is the idea for today is to compare all 5 of these as they relate to one another. None of these are bad. I like all 5 of these, but remember, Bowl U talks about it's not what a ball does, it's how a ball is best used. And the usability of a particular ball reveals itself based on how it responds throughout transition. As transition is happening, so you end up throwing the ball over and over and over and over and over, and it starts defining itself as it relates to the others. So once I have these lined up relative to each other, they should stay consistent with the shape that they will yield based on any of the patterns, okay? So we're gonna start on lane 20. I happen to have, well, let's start with the UFO from last week, because this is what I had last week, okay? And I'll throw it from the same place that I was last week. Remember, I started standing 15, looking 15? So you're gonna see that there's a lot of hooks still on this pattern from last week. Started 15, this is about what I was doing last week. Okay, so you see a lot of friction there, a lot of lateral movement because of the rotation and the way it came off my hand, and there certainly wasn't enough oil in the front part of the lane to be able to get the ball down the lane. Okay, what most people would do in that instance is they would immediately jump left. But if you don't have a very high rev rate, once you start moving left, you run into a little difficulty trying to get the pins to fall. Okay, unless you have another ball, quicker response balls and those options. but we basically have 5 slower, smoother balls right now. So what I would do there is I want to increase my speed, decrease my rev rate. Last week I gave you all the Jeff Cricum, so I'm thinking Jeff Cricum now again. Still standing 15, looking 15, but a considerable amount more speed and a whole lot less rev rate. Pretty good shot, execution-wise. Thought I threw it pretty well what I wanted to, but the ball motion revealed to me that that was still a little too much friction. Hit a little bit high on the head pin. So I'm going to do everything the same, but just increase the speed on the shot, okay? So a little more speed, but I'm not making the lateral move. All right, much better at the pins for sure. Certainly a higher speed. I did miss just a little bit to the right, and I caught that one a little bit, but I think because I'm at the higher end of my speed, I think that helped it get down the lane, okay? So I'll see if I can throw the shot that I'm wanting to throw. Now keep in mind, I really liked that shot. Even though that wasn't what I wanted to achieve, I really liked the way that that read the lane. So I have 2 choices now. I can either try to achieve what I wanted to, or if you have really good feel, you can say, wow, I like that even better. Now I'll try to achieve that, okay? So let's do the first one that I wanted to achieve first, and then I'll try to throw that one again, and we'll bounce back and forth with those 2 options. So I want higher speed, lower rev rate, without missing to the right like I did there. Okay, that was a pretty good shot there. Notice at the pins, a little bit too much deflection there. But I thought execution-wise, that was pretty good. So we'll re-rack that. I'll try that again. Throw that same shot. That one, I missed a little to the right again. That was more like the previous shot that looked so good at the pins. So, the good news is both of those that I didn't quite execute properly, they ended up looking better than the 2 that I did execute properly. What'd you say, Josh?
Rick's watching.
Rick's watching. Rick, we have an idea. Josh and I have an idea. If you would be willing, remotely from where you're at, if we could, kind of like they do in the storm video, if we could put you down so you could be live answering questions, talking with all of the group like you normally do, rather than having comments.
Talking with you too.
Talking with me as well, having a powwow. If you'd be willing and interested to do that, I think that'd be something we want to try maybe next week, okay? So, or when Tim can figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
I just mentioned
More
that,
of that.
Tim's head spun around twice and 3 times, so.
I know I can get the picture-in-picture to get his video. I'm just trying to figure out how to get him to be able to see it live.
Okay, that was
You said cool.
the same shot as the previous shot that wasn't what I wanted, and 2 shots prior that wasn't quite what I wanted. And because both of those looked really, really good, I ended up saying, you know what, I'm gonna throw that one again, okay? I'll do that one more time.
It ranks a little off.
That's okay. Not gonna mess with racks right now.
Good posture.
Okay, that one I actually got a little slow. I think I hit that one a little bit too much too. Nonetheless, so now I want to try to throw all 4 of these other balls, and you can do this on your own as well when you go practice. As soon as your local bowling center opens up, you get lined up with a particular ball, in this case the UFO, and then you really get zeroed in on what you're doing physically, and then take the other balls that are similar to that UFO in usability, and then try to repeat that same shot physically so you can get a good read as to what the difference is, usability of the ball, shape-wise, okay? So let's go to the Gravity Evolve. Now this Evolve, layout-wise, is much stronger. Still asymmetric, but much stronger. So I'm going to try to throw the same shot. We would expect, because of the layout, that this is going to be much easier to read the lane. But I'm just going to try to throw the same shot, okay? Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. To see how the overall front to back shape of that was much, much, much smoother, at least in my opinion. Stronger layout. I would say similar type of ball, but stronger layout. Really smooth. That really laid there. Looked pretty good. Okay, I got that one in. So I didn't mean to get that one in quite as much. And that one obviously saw some of the lateral amount of oil, more oil, and it really laid off. So fortunate to saw the 5-pin on that. Okay, another pretty good shot. So those are the two. I would say between those two, obviously the UFO feels like it wants to be subtly quicker than this Evolve, and I would say that's probably more due to the layout than the ball. Now we'll go to, let's go to this lower pin, really low pin, Crux Prime. Again, asymmetric, but we got a decent sized hole in that. It's probably about a 1-inch hole, probably 2.5, 3 inches deep. So this should be even smoother just because of the lower layout, okay? The surface on this is a little shinier though. So because of that surface, it might be subtly a different shape, but I'll try to repeat the same shots that I just threw. That was definitely smoother, without a doubt. I actually got that one in very similar to where I just threw that Evolve, got it in a little bit. And yeah, that really, wasn't sure if it was gonna even hook it off. I'm throwing all these shots from the same place, 15, looking 15, so I'm probably hitting about 17. Okay, I saw that one stand up a little bit in the front. I think had I thrown the UFO, that shot, I think that UFO would have checked and went high. So once you start being a throw bot and trying to throw all of your equipment, it starts revealing to you the usability of where you can use it. Then when you get out on the real lanes during competition, you have a better chance to make choices based on what you see, not based on what you can do or what ball you're trying to make the ball do, okay? All right, same shot again. Again, so smooth. Start watching the balls going down the lane as the deflection is happening. We're trying to gain some information based on how the pins are falling. In this case, the assessment would be obviously a little too much deflection. And then as I back that up, okay, why? Why did that deflect too much? In this particular case, certainly I could say a component of too much speed. But in this case, because of the layout that I have in this ball, I would say that it's probably more to do with how smooth this ball is, just because of the layout, okay? All right, I'm gonna throw the other Crux Prime, huh?
Hydroplane, Rick said.
Yeah, definitely hydroplane because of the response time characteristic of the layout. Okay, same ball, but the other prime was down here. This one's almost 6 inches. So this should be quicker. This ball won't flare as much, so it should clear the front a little easier, but it should be a little quicker. Now, doesn't mean it's quick. It's still a slow response time ball by its very nature. But same shot. That looked pretty good. I would say of all of the balls that I've thrown so far, I would say that right now this would be the one that would make the most sense to me. If this is all I could do physically, if I didn't have any other physical tools. Okay, I got that one a little to the right. Still laid there. Fortunately, tripped a 4-pin, obviously. Let's throw this Axiom. Now we know this Axiom, I want to say just from the numbers of the core, this was a subtly weaker core, and this is the only symmetric option that I have up here right now. So I'm going to throw the same shot, but I would guess that this might hydroplane down lane as well. Same shot. Six pin off the wall into the 10. 10 making the 8-pin. Hopefully you were able to see how much I missed in on that shot. And hopefully you were able to get a good sense for how much that one really did hydroplane in this case. Same shot. Attempting the same shot, hopefully better execution. Okay. Now what did we see on that? When there's enough friction on the lanes, that's how we get a better assessment of the usability of a ball. That one I threw pretty well. That was on line where I wanted launch angle wise. But as soon as that one saw the friction, it wanted to check. What does that mean? A little quicker response. So I remember that I already had placed this more of a medium slow to maybe medium type of ball. I don't know if I would make it all the way into a medium, but it's certainly quicker than these other options. Okay, throw another shot from there.
Lane man didn't run the lane, Rick said.
You're right. Definitely quicker ball. I gave that one a little extra, got it through the front. But you can see the overall front to back shape, the length of time on the lane that it takes to make its move, lateral move, was certainly shorter with that ball. What do you guys want to see?
Is that all?
Yep.
That was all 5. I can move in and we can see if they all relate to each other the same way.
Roll.
Huh?
Slow rolling thing.
Slow roll. You pick which ball to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? 4. Okay, so that's the prime with the 6-inch pin. So I'm going to move in with this. I'm going to move 10 and 8.
Rick said book it too.
Huh?
Rick said book it too.
Okay. 10 and 8 left. 10 and 8. So I was 15. Now I'm standing 25. I'm going to increase the angle that I'm standing and launching just a little bit so I realign to my target line. I'm looking 23 now. So 25, 23. Okay? I was looking 15. So 10 and 8. So slow down. Okay, now, that's where we talk about the usability of a slow response ball. I don't have the rev rate to be able to get that all the way back through into the pin. So if I'm choosing that angle, that projection angle, that entry angle, I thought that looked pretty good on the lane.
Dave Day asked,
Dave Day asked a question, yes.
is asymmetrical smoother than symmetrical, or is that mainly a cover function?
I don't think asymmetrical or symmetrical really has anything to do with cover as much as it does core. Rick, I'll let you answer that. Asymmetric versus symmetric. And again, that's just another variable. So the answers aren't typically foolproof.
You could put an asymmetrical core into a plastic ball. It doesn't make it. You know
That's
what I mean?
So you got asymmetric versus symmetric. Typically asymmetric, well, I'll let Rick talk about it. I'm going to throw the same shot. Now this rack is a much better rack than I've had 80% of the time on this lane. So the same shot that I threw previously will probably strike on this rack. Standing 25, looking 23, same shot.
That's what you get for tripping an 810.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Okay, nonetheless, I would say that this particular ball, I don't know that I would stay with that very long. I sense that I'm going to have a hard time striking with this particular ball, even though I hit the pocket both times. I'll throw it again, but I'm thinking it's going to be that way. Now, we're talking about what I'm seeing, okay? I just get a sense that the response time of this ball from these angles is just a little too slow. Yes?
Dave, Matt, I mean, the Axiom looks quicker. Is that a core or is that mainly the cover? It's
Core
quicker.
cover combinations.
It's quicker than the balls that it's being put up against, but it's still considered a slower type of response time ball. Doesn't mean it's a quick ball.
So how many times you in your league how many frames do you allow that type of ball motion? How many frames in your league do you allow that much deflection and you don't know it? In this case, if this is the only option I had, I would need to be changing something. And I hope, based on the video so far, you would already know what you should do. That you're using too much angle now, right? You can't get that ball through the pins. My rev rate's not high enough. I don't have enough speed to get the head pin off the deck to get that weak 10. And I'm not going to allow that for very long. So in this case, if all I had was this ball, I would certainly change the angles as to what I was trying to achieve. All right, now I'm going to go to the UFO, because I would say that particular prime and this UFO are pretty close ball motion wise. Okay, so I'm going to throw this. Keep in mind this UFO only has the amount of shots on it of the last week's video and this week's video. That prime that I just threw, that has a lot of shots on it. I've been using that, and that's one of my core Arsenal balls. And now keep in mind, core Arsenal ball, what does that mean? That's a ball that when I throw it down the lane, I know where its usability lies, and based on how it responds, based on how it deflects, it gives me a lot of feedback on the strategic choices that I'm going to make, because I know the ball. Okay? Doesn't mean a ball's good or bad necessarily. It means that the usability of that ball, I know right where it fits. And so based on those 2 or 3 shots, well, it really only took me 2 shots. I already knew I didn't like that because of what the limitations I was going to have with the slow response. Okay? Doesn't make it a bad ball. All right, same shot, 25-23 with the UFO. I'm going to be watching how much more friction this might have or might not have. I don't know where this ball fits yet in relation to the other balls in my core arsenal. That's why it's not in my core arsenal yet. Okay? So I'm going to just try to throw the same shot and then watch the front to back migration of the axis, the precession, and I'm also going to watch the response time characteristic, and then I'm certainly going to be watching the pins. Okay? 25, 23. Okay, that wasn't too bad. In this case, I would say that was probably a little, it read a little easier. I wouldn't say it read early, but it read a little easier. And that looked a little used up down lane, shape-wise. See if I can throw another shot and check. Deflection-wise, that was a little too much deflection, even though I still got a strike. You saw the 5-pin was the one that went over into the 7-pin to take the 7-pin out. That's because the ball deflected a little too much this way and caught the right edge of the 5-pin. So I'm going to accept the strike, but I'm going to want to be doing something a little different this shot. I'm going to throw the same shot. If I was in competition, I would probably change something. Okay? I'm going to try to throw the same shot though. All right, that one I got a little more to the right. When I've watched these videos back, I don't know how easy it is for you to see the subtle different angle difference. If Tim happens to click on the upward one, if you can see it, I do notice that when Tim clicks on the upward camera, you can really see that shape and how long and smooth that shape is. Okay? Yes, Josh.
So you're gonna love this one. Brandon Atwood. So that was quotation marks longer.
I wouldn't say that was longer. I don't know what you're referring to as far as longer. The ball went longer.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say that. I would say that, if anything, I would say that that shot read sooner. And the reason it struck was because that precession, because I got it a little to the right, it hit the friction a little sooner on the lane, and the precession, the migration of that axis, got to where it needed to get in order to strike. Now, whether or not I can repeat that remains to be seen. The one thing you should be able to see how easy it was for me to strike with these other balls when I was at the higher speed and I was playing shallower angles. Now that I've increased the angle, it looks like all these balls, they just don't want to hit the right way, okay? Same shot, 25-23. Okay, there again. I thought that was closer to the previous shot.
Throw the Omega a few shots. Show them a little bit quicker of the ball to kind of show them what you're talking about so they can visualize it.
Well, we'll make our way to the Omega, okay? We'll make our way, but let's go to the Axiom. We already know the Axiom. I shouldn't say we know. My expectations is the Axiom is going to be a little quicker, a little weaker ball. So it gets down to that part of the lane that I want to control. Having trouble controlling the deflection right now, right? Same shots with this ball, 25-23. Now that looked fantastic. That looked great. Even though I left the stone 8, that deflection was great. Where that was on the lane, the rotational axis, it didn't read and then just stop too much friction wise. It was smooth enough, and the industry term continued enough. Not that we really look for that, but sometimes I like to try to speak in your language, make it a little easier for you to understand what I'm seeing. Even though continuing isn't necessarily Bowl U language, I mean, every ball continues. It's just how it continues and how it deflects through the pins, based on precession, based on response time characteristics, okay? So, same shot again. I got that really closed rack again, so this could be a weak 10. I'm gonna try to throw the same shot as that last shot. That looked pretty good front to back. Okay, that looked great. Thus confirming that ball is a little weaker. Weaker ball saves a little energy. Quicker ball, that's a component relative to friction. When I tried to use that ball with the shallower angles, it wanted to respond more quickly, made it a little more sensitive because of the amount of friction that I was trying to use it in, okay? But I like that. Josh, yes?
Is it better to sand it or keep it shiny or use the pad?
Yes. Those are all options. Those are all surface options, layout options. Response time characteristic options. What can you do with your hand? All of those options. What if I sanded this ball? And the usability of the ball at that moment, that would change a little bit. There are times, and I don't want to get off track here, but there have been plenty of times where I will hit a couple of balls before we start practice. And then I'm getting lined up during practice. And then I'm feeling like, you know what, I could probably get to that other ball, but I think there's a little too much surface on that other ball. Well, nothing wrong with taking this very used chamois that has oil on it and doing the curling move with it and really getting it and really giving it a good buff and see if you can get some of that surface off. And guess how many shots it takes to be able to get a little bit of lane shine on a ball anymore. You know, don't let that oil get all the way into the ball. Hi. How can I help you?
No. Are you kidding me?
Unless you've got them all hiding in the bed.
No. I told you somebody would do something. It's a joke, right? Sorry.
We're all keeping our 6 feet.
Yeah. Okay. We're the only three in the building.
I did. Is there something going on in the floor
No.
Nope.
Are you live streaming today?
Yes,
We
we
are.
actually at the moment right now.
That's the only way we have to be able to teach.
Go to the office.
We're just we got a friend.
Having over 50 people in the building.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
We got more than 50 viewers. I don't know about 50 people here.
Yeah. Wow. That's the Buffalo bowling community for you.
You know what, guys? I can't believe that there are people out there that would want to do that. I don't even know what to say. I know the right thing to do is to just move on. But what can I possibly say? Somebody called the police. The police. And gave them an anonymous. They don't even have the guts to be able to say who they are. And it's probably somebody that's watching. I don't understand. What did we do? What did I do?
The spies are all out. Don't worry about it. Let's get
All right.
back to what you were doing.
So I would say that I would
They're
take
just
that.
jealous. They're just jealous. That's all.
I would say that I would use that chamois that I have some oil on, and I would get some of this lane shine on the ball without throwing shots. But it only takes a couple of shots to get some shine on the ball, especially if you do it before the absorption gets into the ball. Let that oil get on the ball, and then use that as your shining capacity, if you will. Okay. Now, Omega Crux. We already know this is a quicker, medium to medium quick ball. This is a quicker layout. Higher pin layout typically is quicker layout. It's symmetric, or excuse me, it's asymmetric. Okay. 25, 23. That looked pretty good. I wouldn't say that got longer down the lane. I wouldn't say that at all. The strength of this ball being asymmetric and the core in this ball is certainly stronger than the Axiom. Response time characteristic, I would say that this is quicker than the Axiom. But if you compare apples to apples surface-wise, let's look at the surfaces of these two, Tim. I would say that this Omega has just a little bit more surface on it than this. So that, in that case, that would make this ball with a little more lane shine be quicker for this ball. And with more surface on this ball, with not as much lane shine yet, would smoothen this ball out. Does that mean that this ball and this ball now are the same? No, of course not. Of course not. Ball motion wise, they actually looked pretty close, didn't they? Okay, let's throw another shot. I'm sorry, I can't believe that happened. My brain is still thinking about that. I can't believe that happened. That guy has so many other things that are so worthwhile to do for our community than to have to respond to somebody who knows that we do this and just giving us a hard time. Give me a break, guys. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I don't know what else to do. What else do you guys want to see? Slower ball and still curve it. Well, the slowest ball, I would say, would be the two options. I have the Crux Prime. Let's get a shot at this again. Because of the layout, this would be slower. And this Evolve, because of the strength, I would call it slower. So how am I going to use these balls from right there and get them through the pins? Well, I'll use this one first. I hope I'm gonna get this right, but my brain says in order to use a slower response time ball, I don't wanna use it that same way. I don't wanna use it with that much angle, launch angle or entry angle. I need to use less angle, even though I'm gonna stand and look the same, 25, 23. I'm gonna try to keep my angles shallower. I'm not gonna allow it to feed to the right, but I'm gonna use more of the head pin so I can limit the deflection. Okay, 25, still 23, but I'm not gonna allow it to feed to the right. Okay, I'm gonna try to use the hole. That was pretty good for the first shot. Really got that way up on that head pin, right? Okay, we got 1.5 inches to use at the pocket. You higher speed and red rate guys, you might have a little bit more than that. Over here, you might have a little bit more because you can get that head pin off the wall. I can't get that hit.
Rick said more head pin. That's what he just said.
Yeah, so I did. I used more head pin on that shot and still controlled the deflection on that shot, okay? Try to do it again. Now this is the worst rack of any that I've seen recently. Keeping in mind, even though I'm talking, even though I'm getting lined up, the last thing I'm doing before I really get set is I'm checking the rack. Because once you understand what good deflection is, there might be a time when you have a rack that comes down to where you might have to bowl that rack. You've got to shoot that rack. On this particular rack, if I use too far to the right of the pocket, I might not be able to get that head pin out, or the 10 pin out rather, okay? So I got to use more of the head pin. It still might be a weak 10 just because of the rack. I'm going to use more of the head pin, just like the last shot. There's that weak 10. That one, I got in a little bit. Didn't have a quick enough response time. That entry angle was certainly much more shallow. And because that didn't see enough of the head pin, that's why that one left that, as well as the rack that was bad there. Okay? So throw the same place. I'll try to throw it again like the first one that I threw with this ball. That should be good. Yeah, and again, too much deflection. Got fortunate. Sent the 5 into the 7. We'll throw this other ball. This slower layout from in here. That was pretty good. That was certainly more of the head pin. Keeping in mind, that's about, like I said, that's about a 4-inch pin versus a 2-inch pin. So
Be sure to show them what happens when they get caught in the middle. Right.
you know, let's talk about that comment. What does he mean caught in the middle? You got a weak 10 4-pin reaction. I would say if I was bowling competitively right now, I wouldn't have thrown the last 10 or 15 shots, with the exception of the Axiom or the Omega. Because I'm recognizing I'm getting caught in the middle. You can see I've left a couple 4-pins, certainly leaving more weak 10s. You just get caught in the middle. How long on that scoreboard do you want that to happen? You know, we're going now. If the scoring pace is really low, let's say the scoring pace is 205 to make the cut. 6-game qualifier. It's going to be 30 over. I might be more inclined to accept some of this. But what if the scoring pace is 220? I can't let this go on for very many frames because you need to get that. You need to be able to control that deflection so you can strike more often. Scoring pace of 220. Now I got to get to 120 over just to make the cut. Versus, well, hold on, I only need to get to 30 over to make the cut. Control the pocket, make your spares, get on a good pair, shoot 230 on that pair, and then just plod along and bide your time until you get, a couple doubles here and there. So strategic choices are the ones that make the most sense, okay? And I'll throw this again. I already feel like I'm caught in the middle, Rick, to be honest with you. I'm feeling like I have to throw it so perfect to be able to get it to strike. Whereas when I was using less angle, more speed, lower rev rate, I felt like I just had to get it off my hand properly, and I was really getting that ball up on the head pin. And, even in that case, I had that much speed to where there was a couple shots where I got the head pin back on the deck. Too much deflection. Got very fortunate. If there was any way to show that deflection in slow motion, the ball hit the 6-pin into the 10 on that shot. Not the 3-pin hitting the 6-pin. The ball hit the 6-pin into the 10. So, and then I saw the 5-pin go to the left. So anyway, I feel like I'm already caught in the middle. Now let me show you what I feel like ball motion wise
How'd that Omega look?
when I'm pretty lined up. Mega looked pretty good, but I'm going to throw this Axiom again. Okay, that one got too much to the right. That wasn't a very good shot at all.
I hope these officers freaking got you all riled up.
I am. I'm cranked up. You know what, guys? I'm not even angry to the point that I want to retaliate, because I don't. I'm angry because there are still people in our community that, for whatever the reason, they're like trying to get us. Why? Why? Because Josh has a past? Okay, so what? It drives me crazy. I mean, let it go. How shallow are you? Why don't you just do a better job on what you do? How about that? And you don't have to worry about Josh and I. Give me a break. So I like that ball motion. I think that would be a better choice, ball motion wise, ball choice wise. I also like the Omega, the way that looked going down the lane. So I'll throw the Omega, and then we'll open it up for some questions, and then we'll call it a day, okay? That shot right there was probably the worst shot of the day. Sorry. I'll try to throw it better.
You gotta finish on a better one than that.
That one, I'll tell you what that was. That was, my brain wasn't quite committed to what I wanted to achieve. And execution-wise, that was a deceleration through the hit zone versus acceleration through the hit zone. If you're going to want to slow your ball speed down, you don't want to decelerate through the hit zone in order to achieve slower ball speed. You want to be going slower, stay more compact, so that when you get to the hit zone, you can satisfy the acceleration component, but you can't generate as much speed as you were.
Rick said
because-
pacer.
Pacer, exactly, yeah. I was getting jacked up there, okay, because of what I said before. So I'll try to get lined up with this and then we'll call it a day, okay? How many people are watching?
120.
Wow. Thanks for supporting us, everybody. Really, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, that looked pretty good. I like that. Certainly great deflection. Threw that one good. Notice that whoever it was that asked the comment, okay, did that one go longer? No, not at all. Not at all.
That's just a language.
You know, you don't really want skid snap. You don't want a ball that goes long and snaps hard. You can't control that. That one, of all of the shots that I've thrown, that one was the precession looked nice and smooth. Now, how is that going to respond over the next 6, 8, 10 shots? I would say I have a better chance of striking with that type of ball motion because the response time that you choose, you should always be making your choices based on transition, what you want to see transition that's going to occur. Same shot. That one actually rolled out. I would almost say, of all of these balls, I think I like the Axiom the best of all of these choices right now. I would say this Omega, the cover of the Omega is quicker than the Axiom, cover-wise, but the strength of the core, I think, is making it read. So I think of all the ball motions that I would prefer right now, if I'm going to play right here where I'm playing, is this Axiom. So we'll throw 2 more shots with this, then we'll call it a day, okay? That was bad. I almost fell over on that. I'm really rattled.
Well, do you feel good physically after working out? Why don't you talk about that for 2 seconds? Stop throwing shots. You've been working out. You feel more energized.
I'll tell you about my workout session when we end up. Okay, that was a great shot, and we'll end with that one, okay? Smoother choice, smoother ball option, little more of a medium, slow to medium reaction, response time-wise. Feel like I could control the pocket, and every time I've hit the pocket with that, it's pretty much struck, so I feel like the deflection there is easier to control with that ball than with any of the other options. Regarding the working out, you know, again, I'm all for being completely honest. I worked out last week before we went live, and actually felt okay while we were throwing shots during the video last week. And then I woke up Thursday morning. Oh my gosh, I barely walked. I was pretty sore. Friday, pretty sore again. To the point that I even did a short version of the workouts to try to get the muscles moving and wake them up. And then I did a lot of stretching on Friday, but I was still pretty sore. Saturday, I started to feel okay. Sunday was about the day that I felt, the first day that I really felt normal. And I've been getting caught up in the fact that we are closed, so it's frustrating and sad and a little concerning from a cash flow point of view. It's a little scary. And then Monday I woke up and I felt good. So it took me 4 or 5 days to recover. I made the choice not to do the workout. But I do want to say thank you to Heather, because Heather went into the app and put up my next workout, and it told me, Brad, I want you to do this sometime over the weekend, because I had committed to her that I would work out and do this at least twice a week. And I was just too sore and too bummed, so I chose not to. So I think that app that Heather has, I think it's fantastic for any of you. Even if you know, I'll tell you this, the next time I work out, I'm not going to do the full workout to the way it was, because I don't want to be sore. I get too miserable, and then it just ruins me from the excitement of wanting it.
You're still
I
gonna be
understand.
sore a little bit, no matter what you do,
I
because your
know.
body's not used to it.
So, was it last night or 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, I drowned myself in a big bowl of spaghetti.
Last night. No, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. I'll get better. Anyways, next week, Wednesday, Tim, if you can try to research if we're able to do something like that and get Rick on. Rick, it would be great
Well,
to work
actually,
with you
Rick
and
just
teach
said
with you.
something. He said we should try doing a trial run because he doesn't want to mess up the flow that we got going.
Okay. So
No,
maybe
Rick.
sometime throughout the week we'll try on our end to make something like that happen, and then hopefully we'll get all our ducks in a row and make this work so that Rick can be a part of our video next week. If we can't, then we'll definitely shoot for the following week, but we'll make an effort to do that, okay, Tim? And Rick, thank you. I'm sorry for my reaction with the little interruption there. I'm tripped up. Again, I can't believe it, and I should just let it go, but I've never been that good at letting that stuff go. So for those of you that do support us, thank you. Thank you very much. For those of you that have taken the time to get to know Josh, thank you. Pit Nation, you guys are awesome. I don't think I've ever known a more loyal group of people that weren't getting paid to be loyal. You know what I mean? You guys are just loyal because of who Josh is, and hopefully, thank you for accepting me into your group. You guys are just loyal because I think you know where our heart is, and I appreciate that. So, thank you. Thanks for everything, and I guess that's it. Have a great week.